Hi everybody, welcome to America's Third Party. Today we're going to talk about fuel efficiency.
Good evening. I am David John Sponheim, and this is our nightly show in which we talk about specific things. And this format is working out great for us. Fuel efficiency, by the way, is something that our country could easily do if the oil and the coal lobbies could just get out of the way and allow a third party to evolve, and the two parties could sit back and watch as we revolutionize technology.
Fantastic. One of the things that we propose is a US Auto Corporation. David actually thought of this idea before the government was bailing out all those companies in 2008. Remember when the US was bailing out all the US auto companies? David said, why don't we have a US auto company? Tell us about that idea and how it started, David.
Well, General Motors, got $55 billion from the government, and we sold off a large amount and lost $10 billion under Obama, but we still have about $30 billion invested. We own 30% of the General Motors Corporation. So we have to start doing something with that. And if we could take the tooling of high mileage cars that General Motors made in the past, get the tooling out there and build a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle that gets up to 100 miles per gallon, plugs in overnight, and costs under $15,000. If we could do that, we could really turn our country around with new jobs.
Could we possibly invest, instead of investing in these old corporations, because so often government has invested in businesses that have, you get first bid on a contract because you had first bid on a contract back in 1900.
Right.
Could we do it to a new up-and-coming company like Elio Motors?
Yeah, in fact, here's an example of a motor company they're building a 3-cylinder engine. You can take a look at it in just a second. They're building a 3-cylinder engine in Shreveport, Louisiana, that will cost $6,800, $6,800, and will get 84 miles per gallon. Now, there's no battery involved in this. It's a 3-wheel, 2-seater. Looks like those motorcycles that everyone's starting to see.
Are you sure this is a 2-seater?
It's a 2-seater, front and back. Yep.
Oh, okay.
And that's what makes it interesting. You can travel with a partner. We could travel anywhere. Go out to. Wouldn't it be cool to go out to Burning Man in this vehicle?
So here,
hit the road with a couple gallons of water, and I'm just kidding. But look at this. This is a guy who put together a plan, and it's making it happen. So you can make a reservation right now if you go to eliomotors.com and get in on this deal. It's going to be manufactured in, I believe, 2014, and you can put $1,000 down on it, and apparently has a refundable reservation program too, and own this thing and get 84 miles per gallon. Can you imagine?
And they're built here in the United States. That's one thing I like about Elio Motors. Now, another thing that Elio Motors kind of reminds me of is some of the really cool electric cars that came out with the Progressive X Prize that happened a few years ago.
Now, Elio Motors is a 3-cylinder engine that runs incredibly efficiently, whereas the X Prize really took on all kinds of radical new battery options that are viable options for all of us. So if we could just get the coal and oil companies to agree to get out of the auto industry rigging of our energy needs, we could solve this problem. We've actually been creating all kinds of new devices in America. Inventors, even Stanley Meyer developed the water engine supposedly for his dune buggy back in the 1990s, and then he ended up dying. At one point he was told that he would, for $1 billion, to shut down and sell his patent to the Saudi Arabians, or someone from the Middle East offered him $1 billion, and he said no. He was doing it for mankind. He was a very religious man. He was doing it for mankind. Well, apparently that didn't work out too well. But in the meantime, a lot of these startups really have an uphill battle because they've got to beat the big auto companies at their own game. Now, we believe that General Motors and other auto companies have forged an agreement somehow with the oil industry to keep carburetors very inefficient. And efficient carburetors will save this country a lot of money on fuel. And you know what that means? Your savings build in your bank account. You can have more retail spending to buy other things that will help the economy, and our nation's overall GDP will grow because we won't be spending as much money on fuel. There you have it. So we need to do this, and we need to take the power away from the oil and coal companies that they currently have with a two-party system. This is why a third party is essential here to break the juggernaut hold that these oil companies and coal companies and the auto industry has over our entire political structure and over our economy.
I agree with you. Now, I just want to mention that there were a few, for that X Prize, I was just showing a little slideshow of some of the pictures that happened during the Progressive Auto X Prize, and that happened, I think, a couple of years ago. The winners of that were the Edison 2,
Right.
Lion Motors, it's Lion, like
lithium
ion,
yeah.
and then the X Tracer. And a lot of those, a couple of them do kind of look like the Elio motors.
Do you want to go to a screen portion to show people some of these things?
I will. I'd have to do some different things to do that. So it's
Either
going
way.
to take up some time.
No problem.
But of course, with electric engines, everybody's heard of the Tesla.
Oh
motor.
yeah, the Tesla. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
I mean, Tesla is pretty interesting. He's put a lot of money in it. The name of the individual is Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
And he's put a lot of money in a lot of different things. Like he not only is with Tesla Motors, but he's also with the space. Is it? He has a space company as well.
Right,
And
right. He's developing all kinds of
He sent
things.
a rocket into space.
Well, before we get to that, we've got a chatter here who says we're blessed with oil. Use it. And we agree. We need to do more domestic onshore oil drilling in America so we can be energy self-sufficient. We don't have to rely on Saudi Arabia as much. This is something that will really add to this mix. Now remember, the key to get out of our economic woes right now is to actually get production rolling and get conservation going on. And that's what these devices will do. They'll cut back our use of fuel, saving all of us a lot of money. Production will increase. We'll be able to sell cars like the Elio Motors car that I was telling you about for $6,800, or any new device that could easily save us money will be sold around the world. And these are the kind of things that are going to really proliferate in the economy. These are the things that are going to do well.
If we can create this technology and fuel efficiency here in the U.S., we can then export it, which would be fantastic. Now, people were saying we have oil, use it. Not only do we have oil, but I want to talk about coal, because we have a chatter in our room that comes in, and he lives in Kentucky. He works in a coal mine.
Right.
He does one of the most dangerous jobs in the coal mine, which is he goes in right after they blow up an area to excavate. He's the one that goes in and secures the beam to keep it from falling in on the coal workers. And so he's putting his life on the line every single day to get us coal. And I don't think people realize how much coal is used for the electricity that we burn. Everybody says, oh, let's move to renewable energy. I can switch on my light switch. And it's like, isn't it 80 to 90%?
Actually, 50% of our energy comes from coal right now. 50%.
50% of our total energy, but our
electricity comes from coal.
Is huge amount.
It is. And I can tell you that we can expand other alternatives. If we had pebble reactors that could be meltdown proof reactors, that would eliminate a lot of the need for the coal. But bear in mind, we're not even fully utilizing our hydroelectric capacity right now.
Oh, I know.
And the coal lobby is actually very powerful. But right now, Obama is threatening to shut down all coal electric generation.
Which is ridiculous, because most of our electricity, I mean, if you're saying 50% of our energy, that's including cars. When you talk about electric only,
I know.
The majority of it comes from coal. And I think to shut it down completely is just insane.
It could be devastating. You know, blackouts across the nation could occur, and that could trigger rioting and a lot of things. So we're wondering if Obama is really thinking clearly right now, because clearly that's part of our infrastructure. But I believe in clean coal technology, and I believe we can actually produce gas and diesel products out of coal. Believe it or not, it's been done before. Gasification will actually create fuel oil out of coal. So our coal industry is really important. There's 760,000 employees right now that will be displaced if Obama shuts down the coal-generated electricity. Now, we propose leveraging heavily against hydroelectric. Right now, only 20% of our hydroelectric dams are being used. We could leverage heavily against hydroelectric and still draw from coal and do it environmentally sound. The guy we're talking about in Kentucky, he actually can have full mass protection when he's down there, and we
Yeah,
want
he
to
does
make
do
sure that everybody in those areas are completely protected, their lungs are safe. That's really, really important. Now, believe it or not, coal is not only not a dying industry, it's actually one of the strongest industries we've got right now. And
Absolutely.
you know, when you talk about fuel efficiency, we have to also look at the cheap cost of liquid petroleum. LP gas and a lot of the fracking that's gone on in America has actually dropped the price of fuel to $2 a gallon versus $4 for gas. So
Yeah.
liquid petroleum could be used on SUVs. We could retrofit SUVs to run liquid petroleum and thereby save the environment as well.
And buses as well.
And buses, yeah.
Now, one of the things that the person that was talking about coal, he was saying that, or someone else, I can't remember, but one person was saying that the big issue is to bring on the liquid natural gas and do the fracking, which is to in place of coal. And the thing about fracking is that it can destroy water tables. We have to do it in a way that is environmentally friendly.
Exactly. We don't want to allow contamination at the point of use. So what I recommend is any area that has a population, we shouldn't do fracking, any large population. But if we have small populations of people, the government should provide point of use filtration. That's the key here. And I also embrace renewable energy solutions. You know, the Future Gen project was funded to the tune of $2 billion a year under Bush and $1 billion a year under Obama. I will continue the Future Gen plan to create clean coal technology, but I want to make sure it's implemented. I want to work with industry. I don't want to penalize industry. I want to implant all the new technology we have to cycle and loop the coal. That's what I'd like to do, and loop all that energy.
Now, one person talks about in our chat room, how about doing away with the EPA and letting the states take control? Because oftentimes the EPA has all these regulations that basically people feel like, hey, I could create something that's fuel efficient or something that can provide us the electricity, but then the EPA comes in and says, oh, you can't possibly do that because it'll hurt the fish or it'll hurt the air. Or
well, we've got to be
nature.
sensitive to the environment at all times. I started as an environmentalist, but I'm not stupid either. I don't want to drill a mile out and a mile down and have another Deepwater Horizon disaster, which, by the way, is a serious ecological crisis right now, and Obama's not even dealing with it. I will actually work to clean up the ocean. But let's not talk about that. Let's strictly talk about fuel efficiency. And I think the most recent thing in the news is what Tesla, the CEO,
Elon Musk, is now getting into a new idea, which is also related to transportation, but he wants to create what's called a hyperspeed transportation system, a hyperloop system, going from San Francisco to LA. He claims that going from San Francisco to LA with this system, you can do it in 30 minutes, and he says it will be completely safe.
Well, I'm hearing the number of $6 billion. I believe that's probably a fabrication in his mind, that he can do this Hyperloop technology for $6 billion from LA to San Francisco. I do believe it's really interesting. It uses the same technology, tube technology, that you get at the bank. So when you go to the bank and have a teller send you things through a tube, that's exactly the concept that is being used. Secret technology they've developed, but I kind of like the Mag-Lev solution, and I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
The concept of creating a system that is free of earthquake problems is really central to this plan. A Mag-Lev, I believe, will be safer in the event of earthquakes and shifts, because if a tube breaks and there's a fissure in it, and the tube's going down at 300 miles an hour up to San Francisco, and there's a fissure in that, and it hits it, can you imagine the acrylic blast that would occur? So bear in mind, we want to make sure this technology is safe. If they can do that with either Hyperloop or this type of tube technology, or with a Mag-Lev, we want to do it. But we proposed a Mag-Lev concept on our website, and I think that's something that could really save a lot of energy. And the concept is to derive energy from renewable energy sources to power up the Mag-Lev rail and have it pay for itself with the energy it produces.
And I want to just say that we can, everyone can link to that Mag-Lev rail.
Oh, right now, yeah.
Yeah, so if you go to americasthirdparty.com, if you're watching this video on americasthirdparty.com, I want to thank you for watching it. And then if you're not watching it there or at YouTube or something, or you are, the next video that you should definitely check out is David talking about the Mag-Lev rail system. I'm not sure if I have video on that yet.
We will soon.
But we will have it soon, and you can definitely read about it on our website. I want to say, is that good?
It is good. And I got to tell all of you an important tip. When you're driving on the road, cut your speed by 5 miles per hour to save 10% in fuel costs.
Exactly. And
5 miles per hour slower will save you 10% more in fuel costs. Most people don't realize that driving slower saves them energy.
And I want to say too, since you were talking about that, is I've been reading about energy efficiency and turning off your lights and saving energy as an end use.
Right.
It saves like 10 times the coal that they have to create and get out of the ground, because it's all of the electric loss along the power line. It actually adds up huge. So if you save on your end, it's like 4 times the amount of coal that energy wise to produce it.
Okay, and by the way, it is a pay-as-you-go plan, the Mag-Lev is, and it will definitely pay for itself. We'll build point A to point B, get that to pay for itself with energy savings and money earned back from the electricity it generates, and then pay for point B to point C. We'll build it as we go in 20-mile segments.
So it won't only be fuel efficient, it'll also be financially efficient.
Exactly. Very, very true. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.